We are living through a technological revolution right now. Artificial intelligence is changing just about everything. But behind all that amazing code and those complex algorithms, there's a huge power struggle brewing. And I'm not talking about a battle of ideas. I mean a fight for raw, physical electricity. It's the incredible ambition of AI squaring off against the very real, very hard limits of our power grid.
Okay, let's start with a number, 23 gigawatts. This is the number that is sending absolute shockwaves through the energy world. By the end of 2025, that's how much power AI is expected to demand. Just to give you some perspective, that's more electricity than many entire countries use. And here's the thing, this is just the warm-up.
Now, you've probably heard for years about how much energy Bitcoin mining uses, right? It's a big number, about 10 gigawatts. But look at this. AI is on track to use more than double that. This isn't just a small step up. We are talking about a whole new ballgame for what the digital world needs from our grid.
And that right there brings us to the single biggest question we're going to tackle in this explainer. We have this massive, unprecedented new demand for power, and it's crashing head-on into an energy system that was, frankly, built for a totally different time. So how on earth are we going to power this future?
To really get your head around the scale here, let's try another comparison for that 23 gigawatt figure. It's like adding the entire data center footprint of the United Kingdom to the world's power grid. We're not talking about just plugging in a few new servers. We're essentially adding a whole new nation's worth of digital infrastructure. And check this out. This chart brings the impact right here to the US. Right now, data centers use about 2.5% of the country's electricity. But by 2030, that's projected to triple to 7.5%. And that jump is pretty much all because of the AI boom. That is a crazy fast shift in a very short period of time.
So all this new demand is hitting a power grid that is already feeling the strain. It's the classic physics problem, right? An unstoppable force, meaning an object that's, well, it's already struggling to stay in one piece.
Now, when you first look at this chart, you might think, okay, looks fine. We're adding more power than we're taking away, but you have to look closer. We've retired a ton of power plants, over 135,000 megawatts, and there's another 80,000 planned to go offline soon. Most of these are old coal plants. The problem isn't just the amount of power, it's the kind of power we're losing.
And this brings us to a really crucial idea, effective capacity. It's not about how much power a plant could make on a perfect day. It's about the power you can absolutely positively count on when you need it the most. Like on the hottest day of summer when every single air conditioner is running full blast. And this right here, this is the core of the problem. We're shutting down power sources with super high effective capacity, like coal at 84% and nuclear at a whopping 95%, and we're replacing them with things like solar, which in a lot of places has an effective capacity of just 13%. So even though we're adding new megawatts, our reliable on-demand power supply is basically flat, or in some cases, it's even shrinking. So what happens when you have soaring AI demand colliding with a fragile grid? You get a frantic, desperate race. And for the people building these new data centers, there's a new obsession that trumps everything else. It's called speed to power. And as this quote from CSIS makes crystal clear, it's the only thing that matters. How fast can you get plugged in? It's more important than how much the power costs. It's more important than the land. It is literally everything. This race for electricity is creating these massive hotspots of demand, especially in places like Northern Virginia and Texas. The issue is, these areas are getting totally saturated. In Northern Virginia, which is the biggest data center market in the world, the wait time to get a new power hookup can be up to 7 years. 7! So the utility companies are scrambling, and they're basically trying 3 things right now. First, they're slamming the brakes on retiring those old coal plants to just hold on to that reliable capacity. Second, we're seeing a new boom in building natural gas plants because they can get them online pretty fast. And third, they're trying this mix and match approach, pairing natural gas with huge solar farms and battery storage. Okay, but what if there's a smarter way? What if the very thing causing the problem, these enormous, power-hungry data centers, could actually be part of the solution? This is where the whole story takes a really fascinating turn. I know, it sounds completely backward, right? How can the biggest new power hog on the block actually help make the grid more stable? Well, the answer, believe it or not, might be yes. And it's all thanks to an idea called load flexibility.
To get this, you have to understand a little secret about our power grid. Take a look at this chart. It shows that for almost every hour of the entire year, our demand for electricity is way, way below the absolute peak. That means we have a massive amount of power generation capacity that is just sitting idle most of the time. Think of it as built-in headroom.
And we can tap into that idle capacity with something called curtailment-enabled headroom. It sounds technical, but the idea is actually super simple. You can add a huge, new, constant power user, like a data center, to the grid without building a single new power plant, as long as that data center agrees to power down for a little bit during those very rare moments when the grid is maxed out. And the potential here is it's mind-blowing. Research from Duke University figures there are 76 gigawatts of this headroom just sitting there, waiting to be used across the US grid. 76. That's enough to power the entire AI boom multiple times over, without building any new large-scale power plants. So you're probably thinking, what's the catch? Well, the requirements are actually pretty minimal. The data centers just have to be willing to power down for an average of 0.25% of the year. That's only about 22 hours in total, and it's broken up into these short little bursts that average less than 2 hours each. And get this, for most of those times, they don't even have to shut down all the way. This is a perfect match for a lot of AI training jobs, which can easily be paused and restarted later. So let's pull back and look at the big picture. We're at a crossroads. We're facing a massive strategic decision about how we're going to fuel this next great technological leap for humanity. This timeline basically lays out the path forward. In the short term, between now and 2030, we're going to have to rely on a bridge, a mix of natural gas, solar, and batteries to get by. But for the long haul, to get that massive, reliable, clean power that AI is really going to need, we have to start investing now in next-generation, dependable power, like advanced nuclear and geothermal energy. And let's be perfectly clear about what's at stake here. This is not just about keeping the lights on. The race to be the world leader in artificial intelligence is, at its very core, a race to build the most abundant, the most reliable, and the most affordable electricity system in the world. AI is the future. That's not really a question anymore. The real question, the one we have to answer, is how will we choose to power it? Are we going to stick with old solutions and just patch up the system? Or are we going to embrace new ideas like flexibility and actually invest in the advanced energy that we need for tomorrow? The choice we make is going to define our place in the world for decades to come.